Assassin's Creed has had some truly iconic hideouts and bases. There have been some amazing places that our assassin brothers and sisters have called home. This was one of the hardest rankings I've ever done for this channel. I took a long time shuffling them all about, and I think I'm finally happy with the order. The thing is, some of the hideouts are really beautiful or have great ideas, but they're useless in the grand scheme of things. So I've tried to rank these considering every aspect of them. Let me know what your favorite hideout is down below in the comments section. And without wasting any more time, let's get on with ranking the assassin hideouts from worst to best. I'm not sure Origins has ever come last on any one of my rankings, but as far as I know, Origins doesn't have a home base or hideout at all until the DLC, which has a bureau, which I'm not counting. So that's about all there is to say. Let's move on to number 13, I guess. Odyssey doesn't really have one either. However, the Adrestia, Cassandra's ship, could be considered the base of our Mystios. It's always a beautiful sight as we set sail to another of Greece's many islands. However, as a base of operations, it's not really anything special. There's nothing to do on the ship other than change things to do with the ship itself. It's not like Odyssey has a brotherhood system or a fleet game that could be done from here. Cassandra or Alexios are lone soldiers who roam the land solo. The game isn't really set up in a way where the hideout would make much sense anyways, so the fact that it's hardly a hideout at all and lacks basically any functionality as one is why it's coming in 13th place. Although Fort Arsenal is pretty cool, it's not technically an assassin hideout, and I think you only visit it once if my memory serves. So we have to go with the Homestead. Now while it does grow into much more in another game on this list, in Rogue, it's not much to talk about, just a mansion. We also don't spend much time here at all. We have the tutorial here, and then a confrontation that leads to us abandoning the assassins. But apart from that, it's not utilized very much at all. I have not one shred of emotional connection to this place. Our protagonist is also not hugely in love with this place, an area where his brothers tried to kill him, and that doesn't make the player love it much either. It's kind of just set dressing. However, it is interesting to see it before it falls into disrepair, into the state that it's in when Connor first arrives in AC3. But that's about all I can say about it. It's just kind of a nothing burger. Some people might be a bit shocked to see Valhalla so far up this list, but Ravensthorpe just never felt that special or interesting to me. Sure, you can choose when to build certain buildings, and they all have their uses, but it just never felt like home to me. You get no choice where to place the buildings, they're all pre-selected areas where you have to build each building, and the little customization doesn't do enough to make it feel unique. I do like that the actual characters who live here add a lot to it, as so many of them are memorable and characters I care about. Even though you're constantly adding new buildings, it never feels like it's evolving or growing in a meaningful way. Buildings don't upgrade or change over time. I just felt like there could have been more customization involved. I do like, however, that we're next to the river. We have a wharf, and it just feels like a nice place to be. I'm also pretty pleased there's an assassin bureau in Ravensthorpe. That's gotta count for something, right? Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, it's not enough to put it over my next entry. Alamut is iconic and it looks so damn cool. Unfortunately, the castle is under construction during the timeline of Mirage and we don't get anywhere near it. We don't get to explore it or even run around the outside of it like the trailer would have you believe. However, as a hideout, it's pretty nice. It's situated in a ravine with flowing water, areas to practice and learn, and just a cool vibe for a hideout. The wooden ramps and walkways everywhere make it feel like the hideout is weaving its way around the permanent structures of the ravine. There's not a straight line in sight, apart from the assassin banners which hang all around, which are a very nice touch. There's plenty of notes to read and lore to find. We interact with other assassins, train with them, see them training in the distance, and we even get a nice campfire story of the lore behind the feather that is used to soak in the blood of our targets. Adding to that is the cave where Basim has his ceremony to become an initiate. It feels very assassin-y. It feels like the perfect place for a secret brotherhood to hide out. I love walking into this cave, seeing the banners, the assassins all around, holding candles, the cult-like feel. It's just executed perfectly and is a great addition to the hideout. I also enjoy the design of the parkour challenges dotted around that feel like real assassin training courses. Overall though, it's not that much to look at, unless you're looking upwards from the lake to the castle, so that's why it features a little further from the front of this list than it could have. Now I wasn't sure what to pick for this one. Obviously the assassins have a hideout, but we're barely there. Edward has his own little cove and the pirates have Nassau. But I think I'm going to count Edward's house on Great Inagua Island as the hideout. It's here where we can upgrade the mansion, operate Kenway's fleet, buy new gear from the shops, or just grab a beer. Oh, and we can also unlock the Templar outfit, which is stuck behind this cage. Now as far as hideouts go, there's not really any reason other than vibes and to get the Templar outfit that you should ever really need to come here. Every operation that can be done on Inagua Island can be done in other places in the world. But if you want the vibes, then this is an amazingly beautiful place to be. A paradise that somehow Edward ends up owning. The view from the front of the mansion is sublime. I feel more relaxed just looking at it. You can see down to the wharf and to the jackdaw. It's serene. I love the view from the sink point here too, just a little bit higher up that really makes it feel peaceful. However, the things that bring this hideout down for me is that there's no assassin decor at all. Now obviously that makes sense. It would be weird if it was fully decked out in assassin banners or anything of the sort, as Edward isn't an assassin until the very end of the game. What puts it above the previous mentioned hideouts is the sheer beauty and feel of this place. I love it, but unfortunately the lack of assassin stuff still makes it feel less amazing than the other hideouts ahead of it on this list. Before release, I was very excited about being able to build my own hideout, and once I finally tried it for myself, it was a little less exciting than I had hoped. I did still really enjoy it though. There's so much customization. I spent hours building little paths and positioning trees, placing buildings and making the place look nice. I like the addition of being able to place animals too. There were a few frustrating mechanics with it that just didn't allow me to place things exactly as I wanted. It too doesn't have much assassin memorabilia like Black Flag, but it has a little bit, enough that it just inches above it. I was hoping that there would be more to it however. After release, I thought there were going to be videos being made about the best hideouts and things like that, but just nothing materialized. I just don't think it was a free enough system for that. For a first fully customizable hideout though, it's a good first step. I really doubt they'll ever do it again though. The hideout also has things that you must return here to do, like upgrading weapons and outfits or managing your recruits. The buildings that you have and which you have upgraded also have tangible effects on the gameplay as well. I like that this hideout matters more than most. You actually do need to return here. I do have one final complaint though, and that's that they monetized items for this hideout. Don't get me wrong, there's a large amount of items that are completely adequate for making an amazing looking hideout, but there is also many more you can buy with real money. And I'm just not a fan of that. It's a full price game. Get that shit out of here. Collecting all the items in game can also be a pain as they're scattered throughout the world with different merchants. You just gotta go around to them all buying everything they got. Overall, it's a nice new system that I had hours of fun with, and now my hideout is one of a kind, unlike anyone else's, and that's pretty cool. Revelations' Galata hideout is the first one we saw post Altair's reform that wasn't in Italy. It's cool to see another country and culture's spin on the hideout. However, it doesn't really offer anything new from Brotherhood. It looks different and has a different vibe because it isn't Roman architecture, but other than that, it functions the same and has no real unique features. I love the assassin banners and symbols, but it's just not a super memorable place. But because it is so heavily assassin themed and there is a Brotherhood, it gets shot up to number 7 on the list despite it not being truly memorable. Hey assassin, if you're enjoying the video then consider subscribing for weekly Assassin's Creed content. Templars are welcome too, I guess. Now Syndicate's hideout is this far up the list for one reason, and one reason only. It's a f***ing train! How amazing is that? I actually love this idea for a hideout. It drives around the city and is constantly in different areas of the map. You can find it in the open world and jump on it, or from it. For a game set in industrial London, it's the perfect idea. It makes sense. How can the Templars find your hideout if it's constantly on the move? You're not going to see people going into and out of the same place every day, hiding in plain sight. Now while the hideout isn't actually very useful like many of them on the list, it does look awesome. We often regroup here at the end of big missions and view the information board to see how far we are along taking down the Templars. There's not much more to say other than a moving hideout, a train, is one of the coolest ideas this series has had, and I for one approve. Unity's hideout is a tough one. While it is majestic and grand, it for some reason doesn't feel like a place for Arno. Arno feels like an outsider here, and that rarely takes away from it. Arno joined to get revenge. He never joined to be part of the Brotherhood or to contribute to their cause. So for that, this place always feels hostile to him, and for good reason. The reason it's so high up the list then is because I am also including Cafe Theatre, which Arno runs and looks after himself, upgrading it and making a lot of bank. I like the cafe. It's another way of hiding in plain sight. It's a cafe and a theatre used as a front to acquire information. Arno can also unlock more rooms here, which unlock new things for him. Eventually we find a room full of outfits, which can be gained in different ways. There's also a nice room where Arno can sit and read letters from Elise, which is a lovely touch. In the basement is the armor of Thomas D. Carnelion, definitely said that wrong, which is an absolute ball ache to unlock, but once you do, it's a pretty sweet outfit. Back to the assassin hideout itself, I do really like the grandeur of it all. It feels ominous, it feels intimidating, and it never stops feeling that way. And I like it for that. So that's why it's here, just scraping into the top 5. Brotherhood's hideout just feels right, doesn't it? Red banners, high ceilings, stone floors littered with rugs, and just a majestic assassin feel that hasn't really been captured since. Unlike AC2, however, there isn't much of an upgrade system, as Ezio is busy buying and owning half of Rome instead. I do love this place though. We have ceremonies here to where we bestow honors upon our recruits who reach max level, and even one for our sister. It really is just a special place and just feels like home. There's also rooms to display all your weapons, and even one with a bunch of paintings of people we've killed, or aim to kill. I don't have all of them on this save, but I don't know if this is a bit mental of the assassins to have these paintings, but hey, they kill for a living. What are you gonna do? The building itself is fairly large from the outside and is surrounded by all the shops you would need, despite being on an island. Although the building is large, it doesn't show any reason to suspect it as a secret hideout for a secret organization. And that's awesome. Altair reformed the assassins not to have huge castles on the hill, but to go back to the shadows and hide in plain sight. And Brotherhood's hideout captures that perfectly, unlike a lot of the other games in this series. I'm not saying that's wrong, by the way, the assassins do lose their way frequently, but I just like that Brotherhood's hideout really feels like Altair would approve. Monteriggioni. Yes, I know I can't say that correctly. Blame my 3/4 Kiwi accent mixed with some British slang. Building up the family mansion and the village in which it resides is a really rewarding system. As the game goes on, you get to see the village and the mansion change and be restored to its former glory. You also get to rake in the dough. Mechanically, it's not really all that special. It's just a click on a menu. But seeing a place that means so much to his family and to the Brotherhood be restored is a nice feeling as you embody Ezio through his campaign to avenge his family. The basement is also a huge highlight of the mansion, showing many different characters that have been assassins or important to the cause from the years past. That's not even mentioning the legendary armor of Altair that can be unlocked from here. The mansion also has rooms for displaying weapons and trinkets from the missions, which is nice too. And also the mansion holds a few secrets to explore as well. Now just like Brotherhood, the homestead of Assassin's Creed feels like home. It starts off as a dilapidated old mansion on the hill before Connor turns the entire area into its own little village. The best thing about it is that you aren't just building houses for random NPCs. They are fully fleshed out characters that have their own backstories and mean a lot to the village as a whole. You rarely make a connection to these characters who don't only interact with Connor, but also with the other homesteaders. There are so many missions that flesh out this community, and it just feels so much more real and personal than any of the other hideouts in this series. As much as I hate the menu for the financial side of things, the economy is a fun game to go alongside the building up of this village in the frontier. It's a beautiful village and a nice place to build up and become one of the people who live here. The homestead missions are where we get to see more sides of Connor that a lot of players don't even know exist. This is how my 2.5-year-old son helps me get footage for videos, by the way. You can't see the horse doing that. Ah! I can't see!
I can't see anything. What are you doing? Oh, what? Now we're looking at the floor.
The Homestead is a great progression from the Ezio trilogy to really flesh out this hideout system and make it more rewarding and just a better system than clicking on a menu to upgrade things. It's also a beautiful juxtaposition. The place where the Brotherhood fell is the same place Connor rebuilt it. Okay, this might just be a huge chunk of nostalgia talking, but it had to be AC1, right? This is where it all started, where we first saw the assassins. Masyaf Castle is a symbol of power, a place where the Brotherhood reigns from, but it's also a symbol of how lost the Brotherhood was. This is why Altair reformed the assassins. Having a castle on the hill was not at all what he thought they should be doing. The castle is in direct contrast to an integral tenet, hide in plain sight. There's hiding in plain sight, and then there's signposting it with a huge neon sign. The assassins are supposed to be a secret organization, hiding in the shadows and waiting for the perfect moment to strike, revealing themselves as they take out their target. Masyaf perfectly represents this distortion of their beliefs. In terms of how it looks, it's just so fucking cool. When you approach it from the town of Masyaf itself, it's just a giant looming structure built between the rocks of the mountain. As you get closer, you see assassins posted at every possible lookout and entrance. You walk up the pass of the mountain and between giant protruding slabs of stone to meet the main double portcullis gate. Once again, we see it's manned by many assassins, at the gate and above it on its rampart. As I've said in previous entries, I want my hideouts to feel like assassin places, and Masyaf Castle is filled with banners and carvings of the Levantine assassin logo etched into every available spot on the castle walls, inside and out. I love the library, Al-Mualim's office, and just the general layout of the entire castle. It feels cold and methodical, just like the assassins were at this time. The views from many of the areas are actually pretty good for a 2007 game, and the courtyard out the back is a breath of fresh air from the rest of the castle. We also return here many times to speak with Al-Mualim and learn new moves. The game's climax happens here too. It's a pivotal place to the story and the entire vibe of the game. It feels necessary, unlike some of the hideouts which feel more like set dressing only. Just a perfect hideout and ultimately my number one and favorite of the series. Let me know what your favorite hideouts are down in the comments. I try to respond to as many as I can and I read every single comment I ever get. Thanks to my patron Alex Applegate for keeping the channel running. You're a legend. And if you got this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one and I'll see you in the next one. Sticks out.